Today, I'm going to show you my process for making drum covers. We're going to do Almost Easy by Avenged Sevenfold. And one of the first things I do is I try to find a drumless file for it. And I just go to YouTube. I literally just look up Avenged Sevenfold, Almost Easy, drumless. Find it here. I listen to a couple of them and I try to find the one that's in stereo because sometimes they'll be in mono. And so I found one. I just did YouTube to MP3 to download it. Threw it in here. I found out that it was recorded to a click. That's the next step. Once I put it in Cubase, I try to find the tempo of it, and it seems that the tempo is 175 through the whole song. And then I have all my drums laid out here, which I have 13 mics set up: kick, snare top, snare bottom, hi-hat, ride, 4 toms, and then stereo overhead, stereo room. And I have kind of my starting plugins for everything. Once I actually record the track, I'll mix it more appropriately to it, but it has a starting point instead of just starting with raw files. But I don't use any triggers or sample replacement. I just know like what EQs and compressors I'm going to end up using, or saturation plugins or something for the snare. So that's pretty much it over here. This is ready to go. I'll just play along to it a couple times and then start recording. With songs that I don't have a drumless file, I just record along to the drums. But I'll try to find what the resonant frequency of the snare and the kick drum is. Snare drums typically are around 200 and the kick will be between 45 to about 90. I'll try and cut those out, and sometimes I'll try and even find where the attack in the kick drum is. If it's like a really present peak at 8K, I'll pull that down so you can hear those less. I don't really mess with the cymbals because my cymbals are going to wash out anyway, but if there's a bunch of bass heavy kick and snare pushing through and then I try to push it on top, it fights out. So I try and find the frequencies within the song itself, if there isn't a drumless track, and kind of cut them out of the original track. If the song isn't recorded to a click, then I'll actually go through with a microphone and a pair of sticks and listen to the song and make my own click track, and then go back through and kind of edit some of the clicks if something fell out of time. So then I'll have my own made click. But yeah, now let's look at the drums and the light setup. So here's my drum set. It's just my basic kit. It's got all the 13 mics set up on it and around, plus the mics. I have LED light there, an LED light here, and then a ring light right there. As far as my cameras go, in that ring light, it's hard to see because it's blown out, but there is my Rebel T5 Canon. This I'm shooting right now with is a GoPro Hero 5. Up there, an overhead shot, is a GoPro 3 Plus, and then I use a flip cam for my foot cam. I've been toying with a couple different angles for this camera, but I think I really like this one, and I have that mirror set up behind me that's kind of cool too. As in that's the whole setup as far as the drums, the microphones, the lights, and cameras. And the next thing I'll do, like I said, is just play along to the song a couple times, and then I'll just hit record and hope for the best. Alright, so I finished tracking it, I mixed it. You can see I like go through and cut, I hard gate my toms, just because I play them kind of dynamically, but this is what the whole kit sounds like. And on like stuff like this, where the china is out of range of the microphones, I'll find like whatever the closest microphone is and just boost the crap out of it in that one section. But yeah, then I exported the drums as an individual file, and I have the drumless track still, so next step is to go to Vegas Pro and edit all the video. Alright, so let's edit the video now. Actually, I already edited it. Because I was in a rush to get it out, because it was like 3 a.m. Friday morning by the time I did get it out, and I want to normally have it up by midnight. So now I will show you guys what I did after the fact. We have 2 audio. It's the drum track. Then I have the drumless track of Avenged Sevenfold here. but I'm not going to play it because then I get demonetized. But yeah, so here's my 4 cameras. I have my foot cam here. I have my Canon on the side. I have a GoPro 5 here coming in on the side, which I really like this angle now. And then I have my GoPro 3 Plus on the overhead. So the foot camera, I have it cut to the shape I want it to be. There's like the full angle. I just cut it down to what it needs to be with a mask. And then I do a little bit of feather so it has softer edges here instead of a hard edge. Doesn't really make a difference, but I have it there anyway. And it has a shadow. Oh, I made it a glow on this one. I just made it a black glow instead of a shadow. There you go. Off, on, off, on. It just gives it a little more space. And I pretty much keep that going through the whole video. I try to frame all of the cameras so that the foot cam fits in this bottom left corner well. You see there, it's not really taking up any space. Over here, it's not taking up space, except where I have it cut, because I was just being goofy and playing the China on the other drum set to my left. So you can see here where I cut the foot cam away, just to so you can see me hit the China. And I do it again here. So, but yeah, I keep the foot cam going pretty much the whole time. And there's not a lot of color editing. I make it pretty thick on the contrast. I do a little bit of white balance. And I just pulled back some of the saturation on it, and that's it. So without anything, it looks like this. That's just the raw file. It's a little blue, it's a little dark. There you go, just a little brighter, a little more bold. But I am not the best color grader in the world by any means. I actually think I'm pretty bad, but whatever. I have a couple tricks and I do them whether or not it looks good. So on this one, I didn't have to change the frame at all. I just kept it as it was. I did the same thing. I just do white balance, brightness, contrast, and color corrector for all 3 for the effects. Doesn't really look like I'm doing much on the white balance. Was I just making a little more orange? Yeah. And then a little bit of contrast, a little bit of brightness, and what am I doing with color? Actually boosting the blues to make it a little more interesting, it looks like, and upping the saturation. Let's see the effects on the GoPro. I used to do color match because I really like the way the Canon looks, and so I would do color match from the GoPros to the Canon. But it interferes with fade ins and outs, so now I just kind of try to do it by eye. Here, didn't even do a white balance on this. Brightness and contrast. I actually made it a little darker. Bumped up the saturation, made it a little more blue. And we'll see over here is probably about the same thing. I did a little white balance, a little contrast, and I really upped the saturation on this one. Yeah, so that's what all 4 of the cameras, the foot cam that's going the whole time, basically, and then the 3 camera angles. What I have to do is pull in, we'll go up here and pull in this. So here's the actual drum track on the camera. Sounds like Pooper. And I'll try and line it up. So there you go. I pull it in. So this is the camera audio up here, and this is the drum audio that I've mixed down here. And I have to line up all 4 of the cameras in line with this. And then once I have that, I take out the camera audio, pull it out, unlink it, delete it. And then as far as the cuts go, I just try not to keep any of the camera angles more than a few seconds. I don't spend a crazy amount of time doing it, but I do try to find whatever camera angle looks the most interesting in each section, which can be tough because a lot of times I really like how that cannon looks, and you can see right there it's like back to back to back to back. But I just needed to bounce back with a different camera to change it up a little bit. That's what I'll do a lot too. I'll notice on the regular playing, I really like how the cannon looks, but anything with toms, I almost always put on the overhead, except it also looks really cool with this angle now too, so I'm gonna start doing that as well. Yeah, after I finish that, if I remember to do it, I also rendered down a version of the whole video without the song on it. So it's just the drums only version video, which I'm going to do now. Yeah, I don't know. I know that wasn't the most clear thing in the world, but that's how I do it. I have 4 cameras, and I kind of just cut between the 3 of them with the foot cam on top of everything with a little bit of editing, and that's about it.